Well, it turns out actress Alyssa Milano can't seem to stay out of the news, especially after the whole situation with the Me Too movement entering a civil war, because we all know how the whole situation is. Believe all women, the accusation is more than enough. Forget due process, forget evidence. The accusation is more than enough to convict of a man of committing sexual assault. Well, now that she actually pledged her support for Joe Biden, and currently he's being accused of sexually assaulting a woman and actually doing much worse than what was accused of Justice Brett Kavanaugh, she has now apparently discovered due process. But ironically, it's only convenient when it's the Democrat being accused instead of the conservative. Well, now Alyssa Milano is back on the news, and now she's telling us that it is bad for us to be purchasing firearms in a time where the police in many states are short-staffed, and in many cases, a lot of states are actually releasing convicts, criminals, if you know a little bit of a simpler term, into the streets, expecting them to follow the laws, even though we all know criminals are very bad at following laws in the first place. Well, apparently, a lot of conservatives, including actor James Woods, rip and shred Alyssa Milano apart for her so-called fear-mongering about stockpiling weapons. But here's my argument, or at least here's my criticism of Alyssa Milano. She is in no right to tell us, the everyday Americans, what we can and what we should and shouldn't buy, and here's why. You know, Alyssa Milano actually owns two firearms from Breitbart. Actually, I don't know if you're aware, but back in 2019, she had a little debate with Senator Ted Cruz, the senator from Texas, and she actually admitted that she owns two firearms to protect herself. So let me ask you this. Why is it that Alyssa Milano, it's okay for her to own two firearms, but I myself, she thinks that it's wrong for me to own a firearm? Is it maybe because she thinks that her life is more important than mine because she's a celebrity and I work at McDonald's working 40 hours a week? Is that why? It kind of makes it seem like it. I mean, it's basically saying that her life matters more than mine or that of my sisters or my mom or my dad. Therefore, we shouldn't buy firearms. We should rely on the police. Meanwhile, she has armed security. She has two firearms. So who is she to tell me what I can and cannot buy or what I should and should buy? Sorry, what I should and shouldn't buy. Well, let's see, shall we? Why is Alyssa Milano back on the news? Well, now she says we don't need firearms because apparently that's going to make it a lot worse when it comes to gun violence. Well, we'll see what's going on, shall we? Well, liberal actress and activist Alyssa Milano posted a PSA Thursday warning Americans to stop stockpiling weapons in response to the coronavirus pandemic, saying the massive upstick in gun purchases could lead to dire consequences. Like what? If anything, like what? Here's the thing that makes it really ironic, anyways. A lot of these liberal states, at least it's very generous to call them even liberal. I like to call leftist states like California, for example. A lot of people have, even in California, have run to gun stores and purchased their firearms. Very ironic, isn't it? I thought guns kill people, so why are many of these liberals and leftists who said guns are bad suddenly flocking to these stores and purchasing firearms? Obviously, they're gonna have to wait a little bit. They're gonna have to wait for a few days to get their background checks and everything, hoping that the criminals, they take their sweet time by the time their firearms get there. But it's ironic, isn't it? All these people were saying guns are bad, guns are horrible, the guns kill people. Now they're here purchasing their firearms. I wonder why. Maybe it's because criminals are being let loose onto the streets, New York, or maybe because the police are being short-staffed right now. So isn't it odd that when things get worse, or when the shit hits the fan, now apparently the Second Amendment is all a good thing, right? Well, it's only fair, right? I mean, hey, that means more people owning guns. Maybe they will realize that when they have to wait maybe 5-10 days depending on their state, or when they realize that they're being denied because of the background check, apparently they have a bad background. Maybe they'll start realizing that the Second Amendment is not a suggestion, it's a statement. But anyways, let's keep going. Americans bought over 2 million firearms in March of 2020, over 1 million more than this time last year, Ms. Milano tweeted to her 3.6 million followers. We have to keep each other safe by social distancing and washing our hands and not bring dangerous firearms into our homes. Oh, you mean like the firearms that you own, Ms. Milano? You mean those two dangerous guns you have in your household for self-defense? That's the reason why people own guns, not just to go hunting, but to protect your house. Because when seconds count, the police are minutes away. Think about that, Ms. Milano. So again, this is why I hate Hollywood celebrities like to preach to us what we need to do, but they don't follow their own rules, right? It's rules for thee, but not for me. In a video accompanying her post, the former Charm star said she was troubled by recent reports that many Americans are responding to the outbreak by buying up guns and ammunition. Yeah, it's logical. When the police officer, staff, and criminals are roaming the streets because the state is allowing them to roam free, you might want to consider owning a gun. I mean, also, I'm not gonna fearmonger here, but what if this situation with COVID-19 results in a total breakdown of society? No more government, no more social order. Do you really think the first thing people are gonna want to purchase or obtain are toilet paper and having your door locked? Not really. The first thing you want to do is purchase a firearm, or even then obtain one. I mean, it's if anything, like in an apocalypse film or show, that's the first go to. During an apocalypse, yeah, I'm pretty sure finding clothes and toilet paper is the first thing you want to get in an apocalypse. No, the first thing you want to get is a firearm. But again, not fear mongering that this is gonna result in the breakdown of all social order. But when things get bad, firearms are probably the best thing you can do to defend yourself, especially when police are understaffed. I know that we're all scared and really stressed out during these uncertain times, Milano said in the video, but that's exactly why stockpiling weapons could have dire consequences for our own personal safety and those around us. Here's the thing. If I were to be next to a police officer and he's armed, I'm not scared. You want to know why? Because I trust the police officer is competent enough to actually own a firearm. In this case, when it came to my girlfriend, I actually asked her, "Are you afraid of firearms?" And she said yes. When I asked her, "Would you be afraid if I had a firearm and you were right next to me?" She said no. And asked her, "Why wouldn't you be afraid? You said you're afraid of guns, but you wouldn't be afraid of me owning a gun and having it with me when you're next to me. Why wouldn't you be afraid of me having a gun next to you?" And this is what she said: "Because I trust you with the gun." It isn't a matter of simply saying, "Oh, guns are evil, guns are bad." That's not the case. Guns are inanimate objects. You can leave a gun locked in a safe and leave it there for a year, and that gun is gonna stay there. Why? Because the guns, they don't have legs, they don't have arms, they don't have minds. They're inanimate objects. When someone goes out and they go drunk driving, what do you think? What do you think happens to the person who was driving drunk? Are people gonna say, "Oh, that car killed someone"? No, they're gonna say the driver was driving drunk and they killed someone, not the car. Ironic, isn't it? When it's a car and there happens to be an accident and someone dies, they don't say the car killed that person. They don't say, "Oh, cars drive drunk." No, they say people drive drunk. But when they say guns kill people, not really. It's an inanimate object. People with guns kill people. People with knives kill people. Drunk drivers behind cars and behind the wheel kill people. But you don't see the government banning cars or banning knives or even pencils for the matter. Right? Let's keep going. You know, the weapons that people are buying today could end up being used in households, schools, churches, bars, and our streets in the future, she continued. So we all have to look for each other. Please, please, please share this video to help stop the coronavirus gun surge. We can't lose any more lives to guns during this pandemic or after it's over. Ms. Milano was ripped by conservatives for the video, including by actor James Woods, who thanked her for the reminder to stock up. "Thank you for the reminder," he tweeted. "When the looting starts, always be prepared. Buy more ammo." And I agree with Mr. James Woods. But let's go back a little bit, shall we? These weapons people are buying today could end up being used in households. And I agree. To defend your home. In schools. To defend the kids from the shooter who thinks it's a bright idea to shoot up a school. In churches. I mean, I don't know if you're aware, but recently in Texas, there was a guy who decided to shoot up a church. He only killed one person. Meanwhile, the shooter got shot by another churchgoer because he was armed. I will admit, if everyone is armed, the number of people that die from these gun violent or these crimes related to guns is not going to become a zero, right? It's not going to drop down to zero, but it's going to reduce drastically. Can you imagine if everyone owned a firearm? You knew everyone owned a firearm. Would you consider really try to rob someone knowing that they're armed and that everyone around you is also armed? Not really. Like I said, I do admit that, yeah, if everyone owned guns, the gun violence isn't going to drop. But criminals will think twice before they say, "Hey, I'm going to mug this person or I'm going to do a shootout at a school." Especially when you know that the other person that you might be shooting at is probably armed as well. But let's go to another article as to why in times of uncertainty, people, Americans in general, need their firearms to protect themselves. I don't know if you're aware, but in Chicago, 2 men decided to rob, or not really a rob, but invade a home. Now, this article, I'm going to do it in a separate video because this article is going to be convenient for 2 videos. This one in regards to why we need firearms in our homes, and why, another subject in regards to how this is going to end up making at least the coronavirus situation make it a little bit worse. But this is why we need a firearm. 2 men decided to invade a person's home in Chicago. You want to know how that story ended? One of the criminals was shot, the other one arrested. Why? Because the homeowner was armed. This is why we need our firearms. Yes, I do agree with Alyssa Milano. They will be used in our households, if properly, is to defend our homes. In schools, to defend the students attending that school, to prevent a shooter from shooting those kids. At the same time, in our churches, yeah, when someone decides to shoot up a church, those churchgoers who are armed, they're going to prevent that shooting like what happened in Texas. So, I mean, I do believe that, yeah, if you want to use your gun, go ahead and do it, but use it responsibly. I'm not going to be advocating for those who want to be causing violence and all this nonsense and making the Second Amendment people look bad. But again, Alyssa Milano, you're the last person to tell me what I should and shouldn't own. Not to mention, you say firearms are dangerous. So why do you have two guns? Maybe because you think your life is more important than mine? Not really, Alyssa. Because let's not mention, the government of California has labeled Hollywood a non-essential business. Meanwhile, me, who was working at a McDonald's, is working in an essential business, Alyssa. So if anything, from a Hispanic, a minority on the matter, someone who's actually working an essential job, trying to keep America afloat by feeding people, yeah, you are no one to lecture me what I can and cannot own, especially Americans who are trying to live in peace, hopefully in safety, in times of uncertainty. Because like James would say, when the looting starts, you better be armed. Because guess what? If everything collapses, which hopefully it won't, the police are not going to be there anymore. So who are you going to call? No one. It's up to you to defend yourself, and that's one thing they always teach us when it comes to firearms in general. No one's responsible for your safety but yourself. You are in charge for your safety. So Alyssa Milano, if you think guns are bad, you think guns are dangerous, I suggest you get rid of your guns first before you start lecturing us what we can and cannot own. Because in some cases, some people are going to try to break into homes, and guess what? When seconds count, police are minutes away. If you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. I'll see you guys in a few minutes in regards to another video in regards to the problem with the coronavirus. Same article, if you're watching the video as of right now, is going to regard the same article that I'm just showing you right now. And why this actually pisses me off, because it's going to make things bad to worse when it comes to the situation, when it comes to covering your face and wearing plastic gloves. But again, let me know what you guys think about this. Do you think Alyssa Milano, do you think she's a hypocrite? Do you think she has a right to talk down to us, the everyday Americans, about not owning guns? Meanwhile, she owns two guns, especially when she calls them dangerous, and she has two dangerous things in her house. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys next time.